Item 10D is our final item. Adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for the purchase of pedestrian audible push-button stations from Western Pacific Signal, LLC, in the amount of $55,140.79.
You were just here.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is the second item that I'm covering tonight. This is the purchase of pedestrian audible signals. These are the push buttons that we have proposed to install along El Camino Real. We are looking at a map of El Camino Real. On the top left is 380 crossing El Camino. Sneed Lane is the first intersection that we're going to install all the way down south at 10 locations along El Camino Real all the way to San Felipe Avenue. Again, I'm going to talk about exactly what we are doing, why is it important, give you some history, and then finalize it with how long it's going to take. What we're proposing is, at this point, purchase these audible pedestrian push buttons. These are the push buttons that have been authorized and accepted by the Center for the Visually Impaired, and has been coordinated with us in terms of what areas, what intersections along El Camino Real would be eligible and would be benefit from this technology. These are the push buttons that has a grail that if you're visually impaired, or if you can't hear, you can get the sound, or you can actually touch the grail and find out exactly where you're going, the street name. The Audible would tell you exactly what street you're crossing and what the adjacent street is. It will give you also the countdown as part of the second part of this project, which we're not purchasing yet, that would count down from, let's say, 25 or 2030 down to 0, so that you'll be able to get across this state route easily. As you know, we have at least 6 to 8 lanes that people have to cross, so especially crossing the El Camino side of it is very important to this project, to the pedestrians, and to people who actually live in San Bruno and need to have extra help in order to cross this state highway. So at this point, we're going to tell you about the staff research that has done that which one of these audible signals are actually most appropriate for these locations. This is a state highway, so all the facilities that you see in terms of signal belongs to Caltrans. So what we had to do, we had to go to Caltrans and ask them exactly what we can install that you would accept and give us a permit to be able to have in your right-of-way. So in coordination with them, they had recommended a special kind of this equipment that would be able to match their facility. The least impact to their cabinets, the least impact to the conduits, and the least impact to their maintenance. Because they certainly do not want to have a maintenance headache that every time someone pushes the button, something goes wrong with the intersection with the Caltrans cabinet. So in order to do that, we researched all the available units available, and this particular unit was the only one that met all the requirements of the specifications, and also the installation was the least expensive, and Caltrans was willing to provide us with an accelerated permit process in order for us to install. So we obtained the bid through a sole bidding process. In other words, the municipal code allows us to go ahead if we have a sole vendor that specifies the exact article that we want, that we go ahead and obtain bids from them. And that's what we did. We obtained the bids, and this is what is before you right now. This is part of the El Camino Real's original project that installed some medians back in 2009. This portion was taken out because we wanted to purchase it and install it. There's a grant requirement that we need to install this, and this is the first part of the pedestrian installation, which is the audible portion. Later on, we're going to come back to you with the countdown portion, which is going to be put out to bid, because there are many manufacturers that actually produce the countdowns. But the audible portion is now before you, and as soon as you approve this, we'll go ahead and submit the requirement to Caltrans for approval, and as soon as we get the encroachment permit, we can install it within the next few months.
questions?
Real quick, one quick question. We just on the last topic talked about contingencies. 10 to 15% is normal, 25 in the other project because of the underground. In here, I didn't see any contingency. Is that correct?
Actually, the balance for the project right now we have in the funds is approximately $90,000 that is left from the project's original budget. This is to purchase $55,000. We don't need any contingency because we already included 10% additional equipment as part of this. In other words, we needed only 50 equipment pieces, but we added 5, so we have 55 pieces of equipment. We're going to install 50 of them, and the other 5 would be kept in storage. So in case one of them did not work out, we don't have to wait until we order another one to come in. So that 10% is actually included as part of this $55,000. So we are having 5 extra equipment purchased as part of this program.
Chair?
Michael?
I was going to ask about the ongoing maintenance of this, but it sounds like with the 5 extra units, we accounted for the parts, and I'm assuming city staff would be able to replace those.
Your mic's on.
I'm sorry. I'm going to repeat that. So I was saying that the replacement parts that you mentioned account for at least part of the maintenance, and I'm assuming city staff would be able to undertake the replacement of those parts in-house without incurring any additional cost.
That is correct. It would be just the cost of installation.
Okay. And because we're installing these on Caltrans posts or lights or whatever they have out there, if they were to at some point replace those, modernize them, upgrade them, do something different, what would happen to these things? Would we be able to redeploy them then on a new infrastructure?
Absolutely. As long as we have a post that we could attach this to, and we would have access to the basic conduit. The nice thing about these units are we don't have to go into the Caltrans cabinets. Mm-hmm. This is the control cabinets that they have at every intersection. And Caltrans is very adamant about not wanting other people to be able to have access to it in case something goes wrong. They don't want to be responsible for it. So the nice thing about this particular Polar equipment is we don't need access to the cabinets. Okay. This is a standalone. It would just be mounted there with a push button, and between the two, they'd be able to function independently of the signal operation.
Okay. And I've seen where there's been a move to change from on street lights, moving from a serial to a parallel, or maybe it's the other way around, and going to LED. Would any of those changes in infrastructure impact what we're doing with this?
Councilmember, the street lights are independent of the signal system. You are correct. It is. We do have serial street lights that we've been having problems with because if one goes out, the rest of the street lights in the series goes out, and we are trying to turn that into a parallel system, and this has no impact to these Caltrans signals and totally separate system.
Okay, thank you.
Any question?
So for the benefit of the public, so when these are installed, they want to cross, they'll hear the street that they're crossing, and then you'll hear tweeting as you cross?
Yes, it will tell you you are crossing at you are crossing El Camino Real at San Felipe Avenue,
Okay.
or you're crossing San Felipe Avenue at El Camino Real.
Okay, and then there'll be an audible
signal as you yes
which we're accustomed to is a bird
for the
tweeting
hearing
or something.
impaired. That's correct.
And then eventually you're saying that there'll be another component added on the pole that will have the countdown.
Yes, we will have the countdowns eventually. The countdowns would only be for crossing El Camino Real because that is a long distance.
Right.
We will be saving money for the shorter crossing, just having for the visually and hearing impaired individuals for all intersections, all crossings at the intersections.
Okay.
But for El Camino Real, we will have the countdowns.
Thank you.
Any other questions or action?
I'll introduce adopt the resolution, please.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell. Aye. Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.